What's up, you guys? Welcome back. Let's just make sure that we're actually able to hear me and everything's good, and then we will get started. So, second y'all get up in the room, do me a favor, just let me know if you guys can hear me. We're trying a whole different setup, different camera, and we do one of the more difficult haircuts that you're gonna face in the barbershop when you have to fade really short into some really long hair. So we're gonna fade from skin, and we're gonna texturize the top. How much you want to take off? You want to take some off the top?
Yeah, we'll definitely take some off today.
Take some off the top. All right, there we go. Connection says good. Everything's good. And we're looking good. So we'll go ahead. We'll get him caped up. I'm waiting for y'all to hop in the room.
Which mic are you using?
I don't know. That's why I'm wondering if...
Hold on, let me tune in.
If the mic...
Let me tune in.
Yeah, please. I'm wondering if the microphone that we're using is the one on the computer or not. We're gonna start this off with some Zuka neck guards, because my guy here, he's got to go to work. He's a businessman, so we need to make sure that he goes to work feeling nice and comfortable. So I got this neon orange one, and of course you guys can check the link in the description for these. I haven't been showing these that much lately for whatever reason, but I do use these a lot, especially when I know a client's got to go back to work, like once I'm done. Did you hear it?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So we in here. All right, y'all. We're going to get this thing started. Try not to bump the camera too much. And we will set in our first guideline. What's up, chat? What's up, chat? All right, here we go. So this is my guy Kyle here. What we're going to do is we're going to do kind of a lower skin fade into that long hair. So I got the boosted clipper, and I have a taper blade on here. I'm going to put this all the way closed, and I'm going to set in my first guideline. We're going to do this for a couple of reasons, because one, I already know his hair can be pretty tough to fade, and I want to make sure that I make that easy, and two, this blade is the most forgiving blade. A taper blade in general is the most forgiving blade that you're going to use, meaning that it's not going to cause you to make as many mistakes. So we're just going to set this in. We're going to drop it a little bit in the back. Feel free to fire off some questions. Also, let me know if my audio is working. This is the first time I ever tried this. What up, really? I see you up in the house. Thank you guys for joining. We appreciate you. Last live we did got 8,200 views. So that was also on Friday. So I thought, you know what? If you guys like it, if you rock with it, we can do more of these live demonstrations. I've even kind of considered maybe taking this to like a Zoom call in the future, so that might be something that we look at. I'll send it over to the members. We'll get a member link, and you guys can feel free to kind of join in person a little more. I think that would be kind of cool. You guys can ask questions. You guys can make a little noise, and we'll do our thing. Now, I will be June 1st in Orlando, giving an intense 3-hour hands-on class with Johnny B. So I'd love to see you guys there. If anybody's going to Premiere Orlando, shout it out in the comments right now. Maybe look down a little bit. Don't be afraid to adjust their head to make sure that your line, especially your bottom guideline, we want to make sure that that's good. So I'm going to have him move his head around a little bit as I need to, and just make sure that we get this set in. And behind me, I actually have a mirror here, so the position that I have this set in is actually kind of like ideal. I can sort of see what I'm doing here. And if any of you guys checked out the YouTube Barber Academy Instagram page this morning, you will know that I did a heat test again on the Instinct, the new Metal Instinct. I mainly did that because some people were saying, oh my God, the Metal Instinct is hot. Well, I let it run for an hour and a half, and I shot it with the heat gun. And off the top of my head, I don't remember the exact degree, but it was in the low 80s, 80 degrees Fahrenheit, which is not even body temperature. So you guys can rest assured that those blades are not going to heat up on you. Typically, a blade's only really going to heat up on you only if you have a problem with the blade. Like if you have a nick in the blade, or if you dropped it, something like that could cause the blade to heat up, because then it's creating an unnecessary friction. But in general, if you have a brand new blade, a good blade, you're not gonna have struggles with heat. So all right, we put that in with the taper blade. We're gonna follow up underneath with our boosted, with the boosted trimmers, so you guys can check those out. And we actually have a diamond cut blade on this. So I'll just show you guys real quick. I've never actually used this blade on here yet, so we just put this on here yesterday. So I'll show you guys how hard these blades hit. I mean, the boosted trimmer is a pretty light trimmer. It's got a nice flat spot. It's got this little thing here, like this little grip that I find myself almost hooking my finger into. It's a really nice ergonomic machine, really, for about $150. It's a pretty good trimmer. It really is. 8,000 RPMs, 2 hours of runtime, and they really come hitting like this pretty much out of the box. Of course, you know me, I'm always messing with stuff. I'm always trying to make it happen. Audio check sounded good. Feel free to jump in, ask any questions if you need to. We want to make sure that we're here for you. And we're going to go ahead and follow up underneath where we went with that taper blade. And I'm going to stop just a little bit short in the upward position. My goal is to get this as short as possible. And that way when I run my electric shaver, we can really make the contrast in the blend just stand out. If you see anything with your original guideline, just go ahead and fix it. I really want this to be pretty good. This haircut's challenging enough, and I don't need to make it any harder on myself by setting in a bad guideline. So just coming up down underneath, stopping a little bit shy, and relieving some of my hand pressure towards the top. So we're going to talk about some clipper manipulation. We're going to talk about some hand pressure. Matter of fact, you got me my blur.
Yeah. Do you want your you want to set up the stopwatch and start running it?
No, not right now. Not right now. The next clipper on the chopping block, as far as like heat testing, we're gonna do the GRL Onyx next. I have a feeling that's gonna perform pretty good. I've never experienced the GRL Onyx getting too hot. And again, I'm really only just doing these C cups right now, just because there's a lot of hair there, and I just want to sort of test the blade and see how hard it hits. So all right, now that we got our hair cut down low enough, I'm going to check it on both sides real quick. I'm just going to make sure that we are in business on both sides. It's actually looking really good. Another way you could do this, especially because this is a lower fade, I'll use my pinky. I'll just put my pinky in there by his ear, and I can use that to measure on both sides, which I know I'm pretty good. So we'll move on to the next step. And in this case, it only makes sense to use the Uno. No, I'm not using the gooseneck. I'm not using the gooseneck. Actually, above me, I have two really big dome lights. And I realize the lighting isn't perfect. This is the first time I've ever tried to use the Osmo Pocket 3 to live stream. So far, it's working good. But what do you guys think about the image? Does the image look okay? You guys able to see all right? I mean, you guys are gonna have to give me my feedback here, because I really don't know. I typically don't go live this way. I have some other setups in mind that I want to do if this becomes something that you guys are interested in seeing more of. Of course, I love doing this stuff, man. I love doing this stuff. I set aside the time in my schedule. I took less customers just so I could bring this here to you guys. And my guy Kyle over here, he did his thing too, because he showed up early and I extended his appointment a little bit. So we got more than enough time to give him a quality cut that you guys are gonna like. I can't really zoom in anymore. I am zoomed in, I think, to the max. Let's see if I can go any further. Oh, I can go a little further. Oh, yeah.
Damn.
Okay, what y'all think about that? We're in there. I didn't think I could zoom in any further. See, we figuring this out together. I'm at the max zoom.
Is that 3 times or 2?
I don't know. I mean, the Osmo Pocket 3 has a fixed lens, so generally zooming in, it can zoom in a little bit, but it's not going to zoom in a ton. But actually, that worked out pretty good. So in the next step, what I'd like to do here, if I'm following my phases, this is phase 1. Phase 1 is just removing bulk, putting in the line, and getting the electric shaver down. Now, phase 2 would be clipper over comb, which I definitely could do some clipper over comb right now. But I'm actually going to skip that for now. I'm going to jump to phase 3. I'm going to cut the top. So one of the reasons why I want to do that is this hair is so thick. I really want to see exactly how it's laying up here. before I jump to the bottom. So the one thing I think I might have, oh, okay, cool. I got a water bottle. Bringing all my stuff back and forth into my studio. Sometimes I'd be forgetting stuff. So first what we're gonna do, I'm gonna comb all this straight down this way a little bit. I wanna see, you know, what type of connection I need to try to make here. And his hair is so thick that it probably takes him 5 minutes for it to get wet when he jumps in a pond.
It takes a long time.
Do you jump in ponds?
More the ocean, but...
Or when he jumps in the ocean, he comes out with dry hair.
It's crazy.
That is crazy. I mean, I'm not even making a dent. We're going to probably switch to a wider comb here. I'm going to grab the other Johnny B. This one's a little stiffer, a little better for this particular purpose.
I purposely took a shower right before I got here too. Trying to get that nice damp for you.
Yeah, well, it didn't hold up, bro. It did not hold up. All right, we got him playing saturated. You really want to make sure you cut hair one of two ways. Either the hair is completely wet or it's completely dry. But what happens to hair when it's in between? It's going to shrink, right? So when that happens, we want to make sure that when we're doing a haircut, we're able to give it the best chance of being perfect. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start in the center. We're going to make a mohawk guideline, and I'm going to make sure, especially with hair this thick, I'm going to make sure that it's no wider than the width of my comb. And just for the video's sake, just so you guys can see this a little better, I would never normally do this on any given day. But I'm going to use some clips here so you can really, really see what I'm doing. And I can make sure that you guys have all the confidence you need to perform this haircut. So if you notice, I actually brought the front in, but I'm not actually going to use the front at all. I always leave the bangs out. One of the reasons why I do that, especially with kids like this, I shouldn't call you kid, I'm sorry, but especially with long hair like this on top, a lot of these guys want to wear their hair super long in the front. I don't know where this style came from. Tap in below if you guys have had to deal with this at the barbershop, but a lot of people are wearing their hair like this right now. So I'm going to just show you guys how we approach it, how we make the best of what we got going on here. Move that camera over a little bit. Okay, so now we have our mohawk guideline. And unfortunately I'm holding texturizing shears instead of actual shears. So I got the mohawk guideline here, and we're going to decide how much we want to take off. What do you think, Kyle? Maybe like that much, less, more?
Maybe a tad more. I like to sit it, I want it to sit around probably right here.
Okay. You can do that in the front. Alright, so we're going to take about this much off. A mistake that I see a lot of you guys making, smash that like button, y'all. We got a lot of people up in the house, smash that like button. A mistake that I see a lot of people making, I'll show you a few actually. We'll go through like five of the biggest mistakes with shears. One of them is you guys texturize your guideline. So if I'm going to cut a point cut like this, right, I could easily do that, but now I've just made that guideline harder to follow. There's no point in point cutting for a guideline. We can point cut the rest of the hair and we'll be just fine. But my other goal, and another mistake I see, is you guys do not hold the hair straight up from where it grows at 90 degrees. That's another really important thing, because 90 degrees just means that it's going to mimic the same shape as the scalp. So I'll go back through here and make sure my guideline is perfect before I take this down. The third thing I see a lot is you guys make the sections too big. So if the sections are too big, when I hold this up, you're going to notice that this section is fairly straight, but actually if it's too big, you're going to have a section that sort of dips like this more, right? So now I have a really nice mohawk guideline. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start working through my sections. But before I do any of that, I'm going to comb this front out. And just for the video's sake, again, I never do this unless I'm teaching, but I really want you guys to understand that all of this hair in the front is part of the bangs. And I don't want to touch any of it. I don't want any surprises. You don't want to have the hair all the way up and be over-directing it when you're cutting it. You want to make sure that when we cut these bangs, it's going to be exactly the way you want it. So your hair looks kind of funny like that.
It looks really funny.
It looks really funny like that. I'm sorry. So now, it's as easy as this, guys. Same idea with the guidelines. We don't want them any thicker than the width of our comb. Now we can see our guide and we can see what needs to come off. Now we can point cut, and as we do, I'll get into the next point here. I'm just going to go alongside of my guideline. I'm not worried about the hair down here yet. My goal right now is to make my guideline bigger. So another mistake that I see you guys making is you chomp. You open the shears way too much, and that's what could cause you to cut your fingers. So obviously we don't want to do that, and just stay in your lane. Make sure you see your guideline before you start cutting. And another thing that you can do is really minimize how much you open and close the shears. That's going to lead to a little bit more accuracy and a far less chance of you cutting yourself, especially if you're new to point cutting. And if you don't feel comfortable point cutting, like if you're cutting yourself or you're causing issues, we want to make sure that we could just texturize it a different way. So you guys can use texturizing shears afterwards. You don't have to do it this way. So if you don't feel comfortable point cutting, don't do it. I'm going to travel back through my section, make sure I got everything perfect. Now I'm just kind of roughly picking up hair, making sure that, you know, I'm checking it, and I liked it my guideline. Now my guideline's gotten from the middle all the way to over here. So now I'm going to transfer my guide this way. So again, I see my guide, I see what I can cut, I'll angle my shears a little bit, and I'll start to point cut. Little by little, we're going to get this hair to do exactly what we want it to do. Now, if you guys got any questions, if you struggle with the top, let me know. Let's read some of these. Let's read some of these real quick. He said, "What happened to the electric bottle?" I got it out front. It just didn't. It's in my other station. So usually I don't use clips to separate the bangs when I'm making sections for a mohawk guideline. I don't ever use clips when I separate the bangs. I just know intuitively not to mess with that section. Because I'm going to show you guys how to properly address that section in just a second. Get out of the ground! What the hell's mad with you? Get the hell out of here. You see this? See, this is called cutting under pressure, y'all. I still couldn't make a mistake. Come on with it.
Cut. Mobile.
Drop a, oh yeah, my phone's calling people and everything. Drop a like for that, y'all. Drop a like for that. All right, y'all, so now, before I worry about transferring that guide off to the sides, we're gonna check it. I'm checking for balance, making sure it's even, going both ways down. And if you accidentally pick up some of that section in the bang, it's obviously gonna be longer. And now we're gonna start to work it down the head just a little bit here. I'm not too worried about this whole section because, again, I could use clipper over comb, shear over comb. My real goal here was to just kind of address this part of the top. And once we comb this all forward, we're going to address the bangs. So here, I'll spin them so you guys can kind of see what's going on this side when I'm zoomed in. Sorry, y'all, this camera ain't quite 100% ideal, but it's working pretty good, man. I hope that you guys are able to see this pretty well. I hope that the audio comes through pretty clear. If it's good like this, we might do it like this more often. You know, we'll see. If this thing don't crash and everything keeps working, I really can't complain about how this is turning off right now.
What, can you do the auto tracking while it's live stream?
I don't know. I probably could, but I'm sure I would probably mess it up with my hands or something getting in there.
Oh yeah.
It might. All right, so here we are, just looking for our guide. You can see my guide's right there. We'll take it down here. Show you guys an old trick that an older barber showed me a long time ago. Let's say that this was a colic area and it was sticking up. Once upon a time, I had a colic that I was really fighting with, and there was an older barber I was cutting hair next to. He's a really good scissor. He was really good with scissors, but he told me to pick it up, right, and then he told me to direct it down and then cut it, and then that would help it lay down, and it actually does work. When you learn about point cutting, you'll learn that hair pushes hair pushes hair. So, you know, depending on which way I point cut, I could actually help this hair to lay down, or I could help it to kind of style one direction or the other, which is why point cutting is great, but not necessary, especially in this section. Like I told you guys, we're going to wind up taking out more of this hair anyways, so none of this hair is really going to matter in the end. So that's why I don't usually spend too much time dealing with that section. So now, let's show you how to properly address the front, and we know where we start, we know where we're going, and we're going to make it happen. tap in, y'all. If anybody's going to Orlando premiere, would love to see you in my class on Saturday. It's a Johnny B / Eddie class, and we're gonna make it happen. It's gonna be fun, hands-on. You guys are gonna have mannequins. It's gonna be pretty intense, and it's gonna be 3 hours long, y'all. So I promise you guys, the 3 hours is gonna go by like quick, man. All right, so I'll show you guys how to adjust the bangs. Now his bangs are wet, so I'm not gonna take as much as he told me. You want to go all the way to your eyebrows?
I mean, like with texture for it to sit at my eyebrows.
Okay. So what we'll do is we're gonna go a little bit below what he requested here, because we don't know what the hair is gonna do when it dries. And I'm gonna texturize the crap out of these bangs. I'm gonna comb down and see where it lands. Here, keep the same thing going. Here, trying to make my connection. This might not be perfect, y'all. That's the beauty of it. We're gonna comb back through. We're gonna make sure it's all perfect when it's done. But essentially, I'm pretty much gonna do a lot of that once his hair is dry. Push it out a little bit.
I gotta say that John B texture powder is heaven sent.
You liking that stuff?
Oh, dude, I love it.
Heck yeah. Now, Johnny B's got a lot of great products, man. The lava clay is probably one of my favorite.
Oh, lava clay is really good.
The molding creams, the flatties. I mean, really, they got something for everybody. I remember I was cutting hair in California with Pat Paul, and Pat Paul cuts a lot of like NBA players, and he does like a lot of textured hair. So I was trying to ask him, I was like, what do you think like the best product is, you know, for textured hair, like to get the waves to lay better, stuff like that? Like, what are the stuff that you're using? I was trying to pick his brain because the dude is nasty with it. And you know, he sort of said that, he said something that made sense. He said Johnny B doesn't create products for just one type of people. Like, they don't create products for just black people, white people, Spanish people. They create products for everybody. And I actually thought that was pretty cool, because he sort of explained how you could use each one of them in different ways. Okay, guys. So now here we go. We're at a vital checkpoint here. We have cut our zero line. It's pretty straight. I'm happy with it. I'm sure there's going to be something that needs to be addressed when we get to when the hair is dry, right? Because it's gonna lift up a little bit. But now we want to connect our interior length to our exterior length. So here we go, and we're gonna section. You know what? I will use the clips again, just so you guys can see. I want to be really specific with this so that you guys can understand this. So if you noticed, I've created a very small section right here. Really no wider than the width of my comb, if not less than the width of my comb. Now when I comb this up, watch what you're gonna see. And this is gonna be a great example because the hair is fairly short back here and it's pretty long up here. So I want you guys to see exactly what we're gonna do here. Now on the very front of this hairline, you see there's a couple of short pieces here? These are my zero line, right? And in the back of this part, this is my interior section. So what we need to do is we need to blend the two together. And we're going to use point cutting, and we're going to direct the comb up just like this. Now, we're going to cut all that hair that sticks out, but we are not going to recut the bangs because we don't want any guesswork. I just realized that the camera is pointed down a little bit, so let me point this up a touch. And I'll show you guys in my next section just in case you don't get what I'm saying. If you get what I'm saying, drop a comment, let me know. I'm going to check the comments here in just a second. So now, I'll take another section just off the edge of the hair, direct it up, and I just want to connect interior to exterior. And do it with point cutting. Interior to exterior. We'll direct that a couple different ways, but as you can see, the hair is getting longer, and it's going to lay right where it started. So I don't need to section the rest of this. I can go through and do this much quicker now. Hopefully this is clicking for somebody. This is something that I've had a lot of clients walk in here that I went to a different barbershop, and I will see just a mess going on up here. And I want to put an end to this epidemic. This can lay so much better when you do this the right way. Otherwise, they wind up with like this ton of weight just in the front for no reason. Especially when you want it shorter in the interior like this. Like, this is the perfect example that I could have asked to show you guys. Smash that like button if you like what you're learning here. Smash that like button if you just picked up a little something. We just dropped like 50 tips when it comes to shear cutting. For those of you guys who don't know, I started as a cosmetologist. I did a lot of shear cutting before I ever really truly ventured into barbering. And you know, it's still one of my favorite things is using the shears to create exactly what I want to create. You know, each one of these different things is unique. All of them are different skills. You know, the clipper, the fading, the blending, the clipper over comb, they're all just a barrage of different skills. So now we can see that we have a pretty light flow going in from our short interior to our longer exterior. So like, never do you have to worry like when a kid comes in and they're like, I want to keep my bangs super long. That's how you deal with it, all right? That's how you get a good blend from one side to the other. So we got to address the camera.
What's the difference between cosmetology and barbering?
Well, cosmetologists, like in essence, can actually do a lot of the same stuff that barbers do. They're just not allowed to use a straight razor, and in general, they're not as comfortable with fading like men's hair.
Okay.
I'm only saying that in general because when I was a cosmetologist, I'm not gonna lie, I was still pretty good at fading, but I had a desire to learn. You know, I wanted to get better, and I think that's really all it takes. So he said, "Are you on the Pocket 3?" Yes, I am on the Pocket 3. Mario Jr., all I can think about is when you showed us on the whiteboard video connecting the fringe to the top. Exactly, man. That's actually a good point. And I do have my whiteboard here. One of these days we'll do a live stream with multiple cameras, and we're going to really hammer some cool stuff out. Okay, so now I got my marching orders. I know exactly what I got to do. I got to get this skin fade blended in to the top. My top is addressed. We'll do a little bit of adjusting towards the top probably before this is over. I'll add more texture. But for now, let's go ahead and let's just use a little bit of clipper over comb. I'm going to set in a nice wide comb, and I'm going to start to remove some of this bulk with this step. And I don't have to move fast. I tend to move fast because I know how to do this pretty well. I've mastered this technique. But when you get started, you do not have to do this quickly. In fact, I would recommend that you do this much slower. You can literally set this in, tip it out on whatever angle you think is going to be right. A lot of this hair, let's face it, is going to get much shorter. So realistically, I don't even care about nothing but the connection above the parietal ridge right now. So I'll keep them facing this way so you can kind of see a little better from right here. But if I wanted to go right from the very bottom, handshake grip, notice how my hand will automatically switch. One big problem I see with clipper over comb is a lot of you guys will be all the way up here with your elbow way up in the air. I know you can't see it on the camera. Your elbow way up in the air. Right? Just switch to a pencil grip. Your elbow, if you can, as often as possible, keep it tucked in. It's going to lead to more accurate cutting, and it's going to lead to better longevity for your body. Because if you're always lifting your shoulder up like that, I mean, the number one problem that a barber or a hairstylist usually runs into in their life is a bad shoulder. In fact, a lot of them wind up having to get their shoulders rebuilt. And, you know, I think that's why it's important that we're, you know, taking care of our bodies and trying to just be, you know, more ergonomic with the way we work. And obviously spending some time in the gym is not going to hurt you. You know, I figured like as long as I can lift up heavy weights in the gym, I should always be able to come here and lift up my clippers and cut the hair. So here we go. We'll sink it down deep in here. We'll start building that connection into the top. Sink it down deep right here. This is just going to kind of stop some of my other steps. This is technically phase 2. We just handled phase 3, and obviously we handled phase 1 in the beginning with our debulking step. So I've always viewed clipper over comb as a separate, kind of a separate whole skill in of itself. You don't have to use clipper over comb. There's ways around using it, but it's going to make everything a little better because whenever you have a client that has some kind of bumps or movements in their hair, this is going to address that. You'd like me to do a tutorial for the beard? You got it, man. Or woman, whatever you are. Don't want to misgender anybody, you know. So, alright, here we go. We're actually going to start our fade now. So, what I'm going to do here is we're going to use our normal fade chart. And I'm going to go ahead and knock off some of this hair. You guys can see that the Zuka neck guard doing a pretty good job of keeping all the hair off of him. It will not get underneath this. So I really can't say enough good about this. Like when you got clients that really need to, you know, go to work or they're going somewhere important after this, putting one of these Zuka neck guards on here is pretty nice. Salute the barber, Juice the barber. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for smashing that like button. Much love for all of y'all. Alright, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to tip them this way a little bit so you can see it a little better. And hopefully I'll stand in front of the camera. A lot of you guys start your fade up here. I don't like that. I like to start my blending steps back here, specifically off of just behind the ear somewhere. Because if I make a mistake, I'd much rather my mistake be back here. I don't want to make a mistake in the front of the hairline. That's not going to look good for anybody. So our goal here, we want to create a pretty wide guideline here, but I'm actually just using some clipper manipulation.
You want to have some omelets?
No, I'm cool. So I'm tipping my clipper all the way out here, and I'm just grazing the teeth here. So my goal is to make an accurate guideline about the width of one finger, but towards the top, I'm going to start feathering it up and out. This is going to put a really soft guideline in. And you guys are going to see how easily this will come together. Just because even though I'm stretching my guideline a little bit, it's really, really soft in here. And that's my goal. If I can create enough space to get this blend looking pretty good, and I can soften them upper guidelines, then why wouldn't I do that? So now I'm going to return back with another step. I still haven't moved the lever, by the way. Still in the open position. And now I'm going to return back with another step, and I'm going to actually hold it a little more flat. So now I'm trying to get the most hair off that I can.
Hey, sorry. What are these things called, bro? They we used to get from there. The greed
Skillets.
Thank you.
Greek skillet. House of Omelets, Naples, Florida, y'all.
I've had that before. That's really
Main breakfast going around here. Alright. That's looking pretty good. I like what I see. Right here, I can see that if I hold the clipper on an angle, he's got a couple hairs that want to grow a whole different way. I'm trying to hopefully not get in the way of the camera too much. And boom. That's exactly what I want to see. And with his hair, I'm going to go ahead and start skipping steps. I'm not worried about the bottom skin line. I know I got the tools to knock that out. So I'm actually going to jump right to a 1.5. And now, whenever I put a guard on, I'm typically going to start with 2 clicks open. So it's going to go 1, 2. We got 157 people up in the house. Let's go. Appreciate y'all for joining me. We're going to repeat the same steps. All we're doing is flicking up and off the hair. Now, if I've done a really good job with that open taper, I can't tell you how many times I'm able to actually almost complete this portion of the blend by jumping to a 1.5. We definitely want to make sure we keep this kind of square. A lot of barbers take this way too high and they wind up just eliminating all of that nice contrast that they could have in their blend. And I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that I'm using all my steps effectively. I still haven't moved the lever, but now I'm ready to. Now I'm going to close the lever all the way down. I'm going to stay just a little bit lower with my flicking motion. Just using a couple of the corner, a couple of the teeth, whatever you got to do. I really like that. I really like what I'm seeing there. So what we could do next, if I don't want to move the camera, I could actually just fade this out. So you know what? Since everything's sitting there, let's read some of these comments as I fade this out. Is it better to move the clipper up and down, horizontal, over the comb, versus, so he's asking about clipper over comb. He's asking about, is it better to move the clipper horizontal or up and down? And the answer is I usually use a combination of both. Like, in fact, I'm kind of glad you said that because I was almost tempted to pick up my clipper over comb, sort of try going back at it, because I can see right here, I have a little area that I can easily lay down. So I can do this horizontally, right? Most of the time that's going to lead to a better blend. And also, I can come up vertically if I'm just really doing a nice little tiny adjustment. Vertical strokes work really good. Just the horizontal is going to take out more hair. So, all right, next step here. Let's start to blend out this bottom skin line here. And the way I'm going to do that, starting in the back like I always do, I'm going to close the clipper all the way. And now I'm just going to be using a couple of teeth. So as I get into that, I'm just going to bounce a couple of teeth into there. Now, theoretically speaking, this step should just about remove. This step should just about remove this line, because if you guys remember, if you've been in here long enough, you'll remember that I actually put this line in with this exact machine in the closed position. 164 people up in the room. Smash that like button, y'all. We get a lot of people to see this. We get a lot of people to help they need. So, all right. There we go. We're just going to keep using the corner. Just flicking, just a little bit, just a couple of teeth. Don't worry if you make a little line here. No big deal. That's why we have 5 detent positions with the guards, with the lever rather. So that's not going to be a problem. Using the corner. Drop it in the comments right now. Do you guys ever use a taper blade? Do you know how much harder I would have made this on myself had I not chose to use a taper blade for this? I certainly would have made this harder on myself, and there's no reason to do that. Now we're going to open it one click. I'm going to repeat the process just using the corner. And as you can see, some of this blended out nice, and some of it's going to require a little bit more work, and that's just always how things are. In the back, I really like how that happened. Here he's got hair that's growing down this way, so I got to try to find that against the grain positioning and get in there and knock that out. And I'm loving how this is coming together. I'm going to click it another click here. Now I can go a little bit more carefree, just kind of bouncing. Above the ear, it's always going to be a little tough. You notice I'm just holding the ear down with my left finger. One of my left, like my middle finger, I'll usually use that. We'll get that down a little bit. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to open it. I'm almost all the way. I'm going to just go to the 4th click there. 4th position. Applying a little bit of pressure. Pushing a little bit harder because I want to see if I can get that step to blend out. And I like what I see. We got one little area that didn't blend out super hot right there. So I'll try to go all the way back to fully open and see if I can just kind of bounce the corner of that blade in there. This is right where his grain pattern is changing. So I gotta be a little careful right here. The last thing I want to do is wind up bringing this fade too high and having to like overwork myself. So right here, that's worked out pretty well with that open taper step. Again, if you're not noticing, I'm always beginning with it out here and dropping it down. Yo, we got a super chat in the house. Thank you, Mario Jr. Really appreciate you for the super chat. Juice the Barber says, yeah, I use a taper blade on my magic clips. Got me into some trouble, so I went back to a fade blade. Well, you know, it's all how you use it, man. It's all how you use it. I think that you should have one clipper set up with this on it and another clipper set up maybe with like a fade blade on it, because there's going to be situations where, you know, this isn't going to be everything. It's not going to be able to do everything. So this blade's kind of dope, though. This is something really, really good for using low fades like this. I actually have the blur blade on here. And when I first got it, I was kind of using it. I wasn't super comfortable with how to use it the right way, but the more I've used it, the more I've really come to love this thing. I mean, it's perfect for these situations with low fades where, like, as you guys can see, I didn't even touch a number 1 blade. I didn't even touch a number 1 guard. I went straight from an open taper to a 1.5, and I was able to get most of this blended out pretty decently, right? So when you're doing low fades, really, man, it's kind of like anything goes. Like, whatever it takes to get the blend to come out correctly is what you're going to wind up doing. So there is no real rules, and that's why I like using the blur blade, because it's like if I use the blur blade, I have the answer to quite a few different lengths right here in my hands. It's just when you first start using it, you got to be a little careful, because a normal lever click, for somebody who's been cutting hair as long as me, a normal lever click is going to move way further than you would expect. Okay, so now we got the metal instincts. Randy's out of gas this morning during that heat test. And as you guys see the fancy shirt, we do this Fly Friday thing on Fridays at the shop. And I have not participated in it. All my guys always dress, they wear something funny on Fridays. And I keep forgetting about it until today. I woke up and I was like, not today. Today, it's going to be a Fly Friday.
That's cool, though.
Yeah, just do something a little different, have a little fun with it, you know? So this has a fade blade. Well, this actually has the diamond cut blade on it. But in general, this is going to make blending out, you know, anything that's not coming out with the taper blade. That's going to make it a little bit easier. So I'm going to move on from this side. I don't want to get like blind to this side. I'd like to start working on the other side, and then I'll come back and I'll fix any of the details, any of the further details with a couple other steps. Shear over comb, clipper over comb. There's a lot of ways to do this, and like I said, there's really no rules when it comes to doing a low fade or a lower fade. Because some of y'all are gonna be like, that's not a low fade, that's a high fade. So I mean, I know how y'all be talking. Y'all be talking regular sometimes. Got 181 people watching in the house. Smash that like button as we use some clipper manipulation to try to blend out this side. So I only have the teeth down, and I'm holding it all the way out like this. That's essentially what's happening here. So if I try not to get in the way too much so you guys can sort of see, but I'm only using the teeth all the way out, and back here is where I'm going to start taking like my first couple of risks. Like I'll start to lower the butt end of the clipper and cut all the way a true open technique. Up here, I'm just flicking, feathering. I'm not really too worried about what happens because I know I'm not even using the full extent of my blade. I don't know, like, would you guys have been moving your lever all around during this process or not? Like, realistically, if you think about it, our goal right now is to just try to set in an accurate guideline. If I manage to get some of the blend done as a byproduct of doing that, then great, right? But right here, my real goal is to just set in that open taper guideline. So I'm going to be a little careful right here. In the back of people's hair, it's always going to be a little bit of a challenge. There's usually the occipital bone. It can kind of dip into the head and create a shadow that may or may not really be there. So, you know, we got to be a little careful in that spot. So right now, what I think I'll do, since I have the space, I'll just go ahead and start getting this line out. Remember, no great rules for the low fade. We're just using the corner of the blade, and I'm going to chip into that original line with it fully closed. And little by little, we're opening it up. Shout out to any of you guys who were with me at Premiere. Not Premiere, I meant to say CT. CT was such a cool experience, man. I had my biggest class ever there. Me and Taylor Cuts. We held it down for 300 people. And I'm not going to say who was in the class before us, like the people who went up before us. But when I went in there, it sort of looked like y'all were falling asleep. So, you know, my goal was to try to get as many of you guys involved, make sure you're having fun, make sure you're learning. And this is why all my classes are usually hands-on. I really like to do hands-on classes the most because I think it makes the most sense with keeping people engaged and making sure people are having fun. Let's face it, man, if you guys are having fun, you're going to learn. Right? If you know you got to get up and you put a little pressure on yourself, you're going to learn. That's what I love about this. Keep finding new ways to push myself outside of my comfort zone, and I hope that you do the same. I really hope that you do the same, because otherwise you're just going to get stagnant. You're just going to be stuck right where you are, and nothing's going to change for you. He said, I missed the class, and I caught up with you at Chick-fil-A. That's right, man. I remember you now. Juice the Barber. I believe I followed you right back. Yeah, the class was cool, but if anybody's going to Orlando, you know, we're going to do the whole thing all over again. And then the next stop, Austin, Texas. After that, California. After that, I don't know. Well, we're on a bit of a world tour this year for me. This is the most travel that I've ever done. And you know what? I love it, man. I'm having fun with it. I'm having fun meeting all you guys. It's tough to take that time away from family. But on the backside of that, like I feel really rewarded when I meet some of you guys, and some of you guys tell me, you know, hey, it's really been nice meeting you. Really made a difference in my learning, like stuff like that. I live for this. So I can just set the comb in there, and again, those upward strokes, Mario Jr., if you're still locked in here, just using a couple of those upward strokes. One of the reasons why I like doing this, especially in the back, is because you just never know what's going to happen when I run a guard into there. And I know that I got a pretty good chance of keeping some of that hair dark if I just bounce to my clipper over comb. I always have the lever closed fully, and I like to use a very close cutting clipper. Vegas IBS, I don't know, is that like Las Vegas Barber Expo? Because there's talk of me going to the expo. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, because I will be in Las Vegas like the week before that at a different show that's not really public. So we'll see if I wind up there. But I sure would love to go to that expo. I gotta say, I know Juice could confirm, but if you've never been to CT Barber Expo, J Majors really, I mean, it was nothing short of impressive. The way that he had the whole flow of that event, like the fact that we don't even start the show till like 2 p.m. so everybody had a chance to stay out late and enjoy each other's company and network and talk. I mean, that's what the shows are about. So for those of you guys who missed it, in the previous step, I did the 1.5 on the other side, but I was just returning to the 1.5. So now I'm just bouncing back and forth a little bit, and my goal is to just get this bottom line to blend into that 1.5. And honestly, I almost feel like I can handle the majority of what's left, just with a light cleanup, some shear work, and maybe my blur guard, my blur blade a little bit. If you don't have the blur guard, you can get the blur blade. You can get the blur guard. The guard, the difference is it just snaps on the top of a clipper, and it'll help you blend that in. So we got the blur blade. And I'll see if I can just make any other little adjustments. Kyle's hair here right behind his ear is really the only challenge to the whole thing, because most of his grain patterns were going like straight down. So in all the other areas, it pretty much came out as expected. It's just these little areas sometimes behind the ear that could really be a pain. Now I will caution you this here. I'll give you guys another tip. When you get into a situation in your haircut where you start to see the end of the road, me personally, I don't know if this happens to y'all, tap in the comments, but me personally, I start to kind of rush. So I have to, still to this day, I start to tell myself, all right, let's slow down. It's coming together nice. Let's just make sure that it continues that way, and let's slow down a little bit, and let's make sure that we get this hammered out the way we want. So now I really like just about everywhere that I'm looking. I like what I'm seeing. I think that I got most of this stuff blended out quite well. There's a little bit of stuff at the very bottom in the back that I'll be able to handle. I switch back to this diamond blade. 208 people in the room. Let's go. This is a great live, man. I appreciate y'all coming in here, checking this out. You know, the support means everything to me, guys. It means everything to me. So we're just following up the very bottom parts of our guideline right now, and I'm going to show you guys with my soft set trimmer. I'm going to go ahead and use that just a little bit. Oh, I didn't realize he was not in the camera. I'm sorry. So I got a little excited when I seen 200 of y'all in there. So the blur blade, Sandra asked me if I could describe the blur blade. So essentially the blur blade here will go from about a 1.5. So when they say that 1.5, they're talking about a detachable 1.5. So we'll go from a 1.5, and then when you close this, it's pretty close to like a half guard, probably a half guard closed-ish, but it's not going to get much lower than that. Now, I'm kind of grateful, because if you actually think about it, I don't need that to remove harsh skin lines. That's what all these other blades are for. Like, not every single thing that you pick up needs to be the perfect tool to get rid of all your skin lines. Like, you see me jumping back and forth between basically 3 clippers here, because I know what's going to make my life easier depending on what tool I select. So on this one, we have the Saber. This one's soft set. This one's set back just a touch. I don't see the actual. I actually had the zero gap tool in here somewhere, but I don't see it. But it's set back just a touch, and I will just use the corners of this to break up any of the remaining problems that I see. So as of right now, I really like the transition I have for the most part, and I think with just a little bit of shear over comb, I should be able to finish this off. And it's always, I think it's always like an unsung skill to know when it's time to put the clippers down, and know when it's time to actually start to switch to a different tool, switch to a different technique. A lot of people probably will force the clippers to be, you know, the end all be all here when we have all these other tools. We have texturizing shears, we have shears. There's a lot of ways that we can get this done. So at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and start using some of those ways. We're gonna iron this out, we're gonna style them up. We're getting close to the end, and I might throw a little enhancement in here if I can convince one of the guys to bring me a little enhancement. Maybe I could use it around the edge. I don't know if I will need to or not, because his hair is really thick and it probably is going to look enhanced even if I don't do that. But now we're just going to use a little shear over comb, just the shear tips. A taper comb definitely going to help you here, especially like getting into these hard to reach areas. And if you notice the bottom part of my blade, it doesn't really move. I've always been a little bit of a chomper when it comes to shear over comb. So if you are, don't even worry about it. It's not that important. Like you see these goofballs on the internet doing all this, flipping the shear, this and that. You know, it's like, dude, who cares about all that? Like, watch this. I cut, I palm. That's a waste of time doing all that. Oh, that's, you know, that looks cool. Like, that's stupid. Like, just literally cut, palm. That's it. Cut, palm. If you want to palm it. You don't have to do all that weird stuff with the shears. You know, it's all for show. Looks good at shows. Makes people think you know what you're doing, but it doesn't really mean that you do know what you're doing. So we could use the tips of the shears, break up these sections. I love doing this technique. You don't want to overuse this either, but this is just one of these techniques that seems to work pretty well when you're trying to get some of that stuff to blend in. So there we have it. The length of these shears are 6.5, which if you would have asked me last year what size shear to get, I would have told you to get something like either a 7 or something in the 5s. I still think that sometimes, but I actually think that this 6.5 is such a great option. That's right in between two, and you really don't need to have two shears. I'm standing off on a completely unnatural angle so y'all can get this view. But as I comb through this, I can see right here, there's a little thick spot right there. And don't worry, y'all, if you guys need to develop your barber eye more, I promise you, the more you do it, the better it will get. And you'll be able to like point out little spots that are not laying properly right away. And I can kind of tell that that spot right there is probably going to come out with some texturizing shears. So I have my texturizing shears, they're the same length. I'm trying to see if I can like tip them this way a little bit more so I can sort of see it. Y'all can see it hopefully. And we're going to go in there and see if we can't get that to just go away. Move just the same way we would with our shear over comb method. Using like the fine part of the comb. And we'll get that to work its way out. That looks a lot better to my eye. And we're going to get a real light in here, and I'll show you guys like the final result here in a second. I realize that I'm not really in the best situation. I have these directly above me, and they're creating some shadows that ain't necessarily 100% there. See if we can back this camera out just a touch so I can spin him a little more. All right. So now what we're going to do, as we get towards the end here, I'm going to go ahead and dry his hair up a little bit. And we're going to use the Gamma Hybrid. I love this dryer, man. Check this out. Some of you guys like the ones that have all these like digital displays and stuff like that. Me personally, I just like the analog. Like I can literally set it to hot, and now when I pick it up, boom, fires right up. There's no guess about what I need to do to make it turn on. And before I do the final little adjustments here. Being that I'm not really cutting any more hair, I can take off the Zuka neck guard too. I'll show you guys what the neck guard actually has done for us this whole time. And boy, as I'm drying this on top, I can feel how thick his hair really is. So I'm gonna run the thinning shears to the top of this hair for sure. Another little tip that I could have showed you was a lot of times when I'm really behind the 8-ball and I'm trying to save time, a lot of times I will actually run the thinning shears before I do anything else, because it just reduces the amount of work I'm going to do. But yo, check this out. You guys will see a line of all those little hairs right? That did not get on him. You guys see that? On this neck guard, you can literally see all those tiny little hairs would have been all over his neck.
Is it that crazy?
Yeah, dude. Like, there's literally going to be nothing under. He's gonna not be uncomfortable for anything. You know, going and doing what he's got to do after he's done. So here we go, y'all. We're gonna thin this up really good, and one of the ways I'm gonna do that is I'm actually gonna go and do it vertically from the way I cut it the first time. This ain't an exact science, y'all. I mean, just as I comb through, I can feel how thick it's gotten, and I could just go through and don't want to go too close to the roots. But he does wear it kind of messy on top, so I don't want to have all this weight. Otherwise, it's not really gonna style the way he wants it to. So I mean, even combing through right now, that feels like so much better over here. We'll do the same thing over here. That's why I'm telling you guys. You guys do not have to worry so much about doing a bunch of point cutting, because you can do that process right here, right now. You can take some texturizing shears. You can take some chunking shears, which would actually be even better. And you can just get in here and you can texturize the living daylights out of this. So now he's going to be shedding for a little while. Maybe I should have kept that neck guard on. But I can just comb through with my fingers and I can feel like where it's thick, you know, where it might need a little bit more. And I'm going to just take the blow dry and kind of blow out some of the loose hairs. Let's see if his bangs landed approximately where we wanted them to. I think they're honestly pretty close. That was a pretty good guess by me.
I think that's a really good guess.
Yeah, that was a good guess, because it really is a guess. Like you guys see, he's got a couple colics in the very front. They're going to make it stand up more. And it's not about cutting the hair perfectly straight. It's about making sure that it lays perfect when we're done. You know, with curly hair, if I pull this all down and I check it out, I bet you anything it's going to be longer on this side. But we're not cutting hair to make it perfectly straight. We're not. That's not the point. We want it to lay really well when we do this. So now let's go ahead and edge them up and finesse any final little details here. So I'll zoom you back in so you guys can see this trimmer. Get to work here. As far as I can zoom in.
This held up really well, dude.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised by the Osmo Pocket 3 right now, y'all. Y'all might gotta pick up one of these things.
It's one of my favorites right now.
I love this thing.
I bring it everywhere.
It's just such an easy thing to bring to shows and vlog and do your thing. So, all right, here we go. We're gonna take this. We'll comb this down. As you guys can see, I didn't use no hairspray or nothing. So this is the real deal. A lot of times we'll put hairspray in here because we don't want the blade to push the hair. We want it to cut the hair. And generally it'll make them look like they're hitting really hard, but the truth is the hairspray, well, not a bad thing. The hairspray itself might lock in some of the hairs, and then when they do a shampoo, it might not be there. So a lot of times it's, you know, just nice to do it naturally like this. We'll take care of his eyebrows too. This would be a really good time to switch back to the Uno a little bit and just make sure that I didn't miss any hairs, you know, underneath here. Make sure that I got this popping real nice. We want that contrast to be there. Up in here, I can tell I missed a few. And a lot of times you can fix your blend with this. You know, a lot of times if your blend's not coming out great, you can fix it. He said he wants some of that powder. Yep, we're gonna use that. We're gonna use that powder. Right now we're gonna throw a little bit of powder in there and we'll get it styled up. So on this side here, let's get his edge up in view. Hopefully y'all could. Let's go a little bit more. Okay. So on this side, we're just gonna comb the hair out this way so I can try to get as much into the blade to fall as possible. We don't gotta go crazy. We don't gotta get into the hairline. This isn't really the style that requires it. And let's face it, if we get into his hairline and we do a bad job, when he grows back, he's not gonna be looking very good. You know, his hair, I imagine, will grow back entirely in like 3 days.
Just about.
In 3 days, he will no longer have a skin fade. He's now the owner of a fresh new skin fade, but, you know, the proud owner of a fresh new skin fade, but in a couple of days,
It's grown
it's anybody's guess what might happen. But that's what. Yeah, I remember who remembers the first skin fade they ever had? I still remember it, and I remember like looking at myself like, oh my god, I could look this nice. Like I was hooked, and I wanted to get one, you know, every single haircut. And then I quickly realized that they don't last all that long, y'all. The skin fade don't last all that long. You wind up looking good for a couple of days, you get hooked. Next thing you know, the barber's got you for life. They got you for life.
You're coming back every week.
And you're coming back every week, every other week. Whatever you can afford, you just want to keep that thing fresh like all the time. All right. Really don't even have to get too crazy with the razor here in this particular case, because that's done such a good job of cutting them close. However, I'm going to use my razor to actually fix his eyebrows up a little bit, because my guy here, you know, Kyle, sometimes his eyebrows be growing, like all of you guys. Anybody with really thick hair, you're going to suffer from this sometimes, so from time to time. So I'm just going to clean up the center just a little bit, and then the other thing I like to do, for the first time in this haircut, I'll actually pick up a different guard, pick up my one guard, and I'm going to run this one guard with it open across his eyebrows. What's cool about doing this is it's never going to take too much hair, especially if the hair is dark. The only time I might use something longer than this would be like if he had like blonde eyebrows, if they were really, really thin. You know, if I was like a little concerned, I might use some trimmers, something like that. And then right here in the center, I'm going to check them for any like bumps here, make sure that I don't cut them. And then we're just going to start his right eyebrow. I'm just going to clean this a little bit. We're not giving them like super thin, nothing crazy. Now you'll notice if you're right-handed, his right eyebrow is going to be really easy to do, because you can't get your left hand in here. So what we'll do is we'll actually do a reverse backhand. I'll tip him this way, I'll pull his skin up, and now I can actually go around his left eyebrow about the exact same that I did the right. Then we can come back over here. I'm probably in the way of the camera. If we have any like long hairs here, we can go ahead and clean them up a little bit. But he doesn't need like a crazy edge up. It doesn't require a crazy edge up here. Some of you guys are so obsessed with doing edge ups for no reason. Like, you see the way he wears his hair. He wears it straight down. Why would I want to get all into the front of his lineup and create stuff that's going to grow back for no reason? You know, this is part of like just doing what's best for your customers. You know, that's all you really gotta think about. Like, you gotta think about, okay, well, when this grows back, how are they gonna look? How do they actually wear it? You know, if they wear it this way, then, you know, so be it. I would normally use like a little bit of shaving cream or something here, but there really is almost nothing there. So I just touched it up just a tiny bit. Hold up now, don't go nowhere. I'm gonna show you guys the final look here in a second. I just gotta get some powder. What y'all think? Some powder, maybe some molding paste too. And I'm gonna get a light, and I'm gonna bring you guys a little closer to the cut, and you guys can see. Y'all can rate my cut. I really don't care what you say. I'm always trying to get better. I also, in the meantime, when I run out there to get that, can y'all do me one more favor, all right? One more favor. Can y'all please rate this tutorial? 1 out of 10. How can I improve? How can I get better? And what do you guys honestly think about this style of learning? Drop it in the comment. I'm gonna check them comments. Give me 1 second. We'll grab the hair powder and like one other thing.
I'm telling you, the best part about the texture powder, as someone who uses texture powder all the time, I've used bad brands, but John B, it washes out the next, like, if you take a shower that night, it's washed out and your hair is back to normal the next day. Because we know that texture powder, like, I don't know, I'm not the barber, but it makes your hair more rough. But you use that John B, it washes right out the next day.
Boom, boom. All right, y'all, check this out. This is one of my favorite lights for getting really nice photos, and I'm actually going to get that really nice photo in just a second. But right now, I'm going to just take my Johnny B hair powder, so you guys can see. It's called Hold Up. See that? And there's a couple ways you can put this in. Sometimes I'll actually put it on my hand and I'll try to get it down to the roots. But what I like to do is kind of peel his hair back and just tap it in. What the hell, Jay? Okay, there we go. Peel his hair back, kind of tap it in. My goal, the reason why I'm doing that is because I want to try to get it down to the roots, because that's going to give me the cool style, and that's going to give him that little bit of volume.
I should go for the roots more?
Yeah, try to get it on the roots more, because if you just get this on the ends, like you ever put it in and you notice it really doesn't have a huge impact?
Yeah.
Like if you do that, it's because you haven't got it towards the roots. That's why sometimes like people be putting the powder on, I'll put it on like in my hand like this, and I'll try to, you know, kind of just get it into the middle, you know, all the way down to the bottom. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. So now create a couple of little texture pinches here, and let's take you guys in for a closer look. Show you guys what we come up with. I'm gonna show you guys how to get a really dope photo too. Right now, we actually have a new lens here, which is actually right here, and I got my 24 millimeter G Master on here, and this thing is gonna take a hell of a good picture. So I'm using an A7R4 and a 24 millimeter lens. So what this light can do is this light can actually change the color temperatures, Kelvin temperature, whatever. I'm going to set it to about like 4300, 4400 is what I keep in this room. And we're going to try to find a really nice angle, like right here. And we're going to go ahead, I'm going to lower this down. I'm going to show you guys this photo in a second, okay? So I'm going to set this to 50 on the, I'm gonna crank up my shutter speed just a touch because I want to keep the rest of these settings intact and he's not moving anyways. So we're going to lower the f-stop. I'm going to put that up to 1/100th, and we're going to take a picture probably about 1/25th. Yeah, right about there. That looks really good. Turn your head slightly my way. Yeah, right there. Looks pretty good. So now I just kind of move my light around a little bit. Bam. All right, y'all. Can we see that? What y'all think about the cut? I'll bring you in a little closer for a real look, but I'm just showing you guys exactly what you can do when you have the right lighting, when you have like a half decent, nice camera. You know, a lot of really cool things you can do with a camera and get them shots that you really want to get for your social media presence. You know, I can move this light back a little bit if it's too hot. Move it over here a little bit. Sometimes it's good. Usually I like to keep the light a little bit lower. 257 people hanging out in the room. Let's see if I can bring you guys a little bit closer, because if I unplug this, I'm pretty sure the live will die. But let's see if we can get you a little bit closer for a better look with a good light. Oh, that ain't it. That ain't the move, y'all. Give me 1 second.
Move this all the way up. Gotcha.
Whoa.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on. All right. Kenny's holding my thing, so we get you guys a little bit closer. All right, y'all. Check out that cut. I use my foot to kick him. Go around. Boom. Keep spinning, Kyle. Keep spinning, Kyle. Look at that texture on the top, y'all. That looks fresh. What y'all think about the cut? All right, cool. Let's put it down. I want to hear what y'all got to say. How can I improve these tutorials? What can I do that would make them better? And I want to hear from you guys, man. So when it comes down to it, we did a long, good live for you guys. Hopefully you learned something. And what's my rating, yo? What's my rating? None of y'all rating me? Come on, rate my cut. All right, rate my cut. I'm not afraid to hear what y'all got to say. How do I improve the process and everything like that? All right. Thank you guys so much for hanging out throughout this tutorial. This is the YouTube Barber Academy. Of course, if you guys want to purchase anything outside of Stylecraft Gamma, you guys can use my code with Williamsport Barber Supply. That's Eddie10. It'll save you 10%. And if you want anything from Stylecraft Gamma, which there is a big resupply coming, a lot of the stuff that's been out of stock for a while is going to be landing here soon. And you guys can use my code Eddie, and you can save 15% with Stylecraft. I really hope to see some of you guys. over there in Orlando. We will be teaching it Saturday the 1st. I believe it's 1 p.m. 3-hour class. It's either 12 or 1 p.m. And if you guys can do me one other favor before we leave, please follow the all-new Instagram for the YouTube Barber Academy. It is just at YouTube Barber Academy. And you guys will see some of the different testing, some of the stuff that we're not sharing on this platform. So I'm trying to kind of spread out what it is we're doing here. So with that being said, we're going to finish them off with some Johnny B aftershave, which is probably stinging a little bit. Sorry, Kyle. And I will catch you guys in my next live stream. If you guys like this type of content, drop a comment, let me know, and we'll keep trying to make it better. All right? We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Not bad.